This is Liberia, a land of incredible beauty, a vast coastline, abundant water and fertile land, and immense natural resources. Until 1979, Liberia's economy was among the most developed and fastest growing in sub-Saharan Africa.
How is it possible that a country that is so rich in resources, the people, the land, the climate, and yet today it is the poorest country in the world? How is that possible? To understand this, we must look at the past. Tragically, centuries of corruption, exploitation of the indigenous people caused an ever-widening gap between the haves and the have-nots in Liberia. Hopelessness and hunger became a normal part of everyday life, which resulted in 20 years of war that left Liberia in shambles.
The government's run by a former army sergeant critics call a murderer and a thief. The rebels are led by a former government minister accused of embezzlement and associations with Libya's Muammar Gaddafi.
I was 8 when the civil war broke out in my country. Many children my age were forced to pick up a gun and fight. My single mother, my 4 siblings, and I were caught right in the middle of everything that was happening, and Mom had to find a way for us to leave Liberia. While trying to escape, we were caught by rebel soldiers and ordered to be executed. My mother was forced to choose that day who should live and who should die. Mom chose to die so that we could live. She was dragged to a killing field and ordered to be executed by a 14-year-old child. But she quickly realized that if she died, more than likely, I would become a child soldier. She made a promise to God that if somehow the bullet would not kill her and we would escape Liberia, she would become a mother to a child like the one that was about to execute her. Before she got shot, my 5-year-old little sister ran to the killing field and grabbed my mother, pleading for her life. The child brought the gun to the floor and told my mother to pick up her clothes and run away. Our family finally escaped Liberia. We took refuge in the United States, and from a distance, we watched our entire country become completely destroyed. In 2003, the war finally came to an end, and Mom immediately reminded us about the promise that she made in that killing field. She reminded us that she had to come back to Liberia to adopt children whose parents were executed during the war. Mom and Dad came back and adopted 44 children. Children who have lost their parents, their land, and their country. Our initial focus was on security, food, clothing, and shelter. Slowly, over time, we finally saw faces of doom and despair become faces of hope, nurturing, and learning. But this was not enough. This was just the beginning. I was 25 and in my prime, but I could not forget the war and that my people in Liberia were still suffering. I felt compelled to find a solution and to help my countrymen regain the desires of exercising their greatest possible potential.
This time around, the only way Liberia becomes something is the people.
I wanted to dare them to do the unthinkable and to reintroduce the concept of growing our own food locally to feed ourselves and to feed our community. I wanted the people to reimagine the value of our land. So we planted hundreds of acres of rubber, palm, rice, fruits and vegetables. We created a sustainable education model that leads to jobs and prosperity. Our latest challenge is rebuilding an ancient road that is often impassable, especially during the rainy season, that restricts trade and access to healthcare for an entire region of people. The building of one major road will connect many villages to a neighboring country and unlock the potential of many thousands of acres of fertile land. I really believe that this is possible. So I'm inviting you to join us, to help us, and become a part of transformation for so many people. In spite of the many challenges Liberia has endured, we are still standing. We have the resources to build a solid and investable economy. All we need is your knowledge, your participation, and your partnership. I'm inviting you to support Run Liberia to start this process. You're welcome to join us in Liberia in January and immerse yourself in our land and our culture. If you receive an invitation to an opportunity that could truly change the world, what would you do?